I'm Al McFarlane. Welcome to the Conversation with Al McFarlane. I'm glad to be here and glad to have you along as well. It's Friday, and Friday, the Healing Circle. We're kind of getting back into our next season, our new season coming up, and we're so glad to welcome back Dr. Pravada Garrett Akansanya, our co-pilot, our inspiration for the Healing Circle, and our colleague, Dr. Oliver Williams. Dr. Williams, an emeritus professor at the University of Minnesota. We have wonderful conversations. We engage each other and our special guests every week around the question of health, around the question of wellness. And what Dr. B always says is that part of our mission is to say to each other and demonstrate to each other that we all deserve to be healed, to be healthy, and to live prosperous and productive lives. So that's what we're getting at. We want to remind you that we're streaming this program across several platforms. Obviously, YouTube, the Black Press USA channel, and also the YouTube Insight News MN channel. We're streaming on Twitter, on Facebook, and on LinkedIn. And wherever you're connecting, we appreciate you. We thank you for connecting with us, being part of the Conversation with Al McFarlane, and being part of the Healing Circle. We want you to tell somebody that we're live right now. So send a tweet or a text or make a phone call and tell a friend, a neighbor, somebody that needs some information that this is the moment. Tune in, check in, join us online live right now. Also, we want to begin this program, as we always do, with Dr. B setting the intention. Dr. B, Dr. Pravada Garrett Akansanya, how you doing? Good to see you again.
Absolutely wonderful, my brother Al. It's good to see you today. And who would think this is even Minnesota with no snow? It's just wonderful. A little chilly, but it's good enough for me.
It's
I'm
amazing.
really happy today.
And I am as well. Well, talk about the Healing Circle. What's the concept and how do we do this business every week?
Well, as you know, we come from a place of looking at wellness as a right. And so we always go back to where we came from, looking back like the Sankofa bird, the mystical bird that goes forward while always looking back. So we look back where we've been, so we know that we're standing on mighty shoulders. So we call ourselves into a circle. Now, we're not physically in a circle, but this virtual circle that connects us on this planet as brothers and sisters. We start with that. And we start with the circle because it has no beginning and no end. And everyone in the circle has an equal access to the space of power, to have voice, which is the center of the circle. And we also do the circle in a way that honors the shoulders that we stand on. Like today, the land we live and breathe on, belonging mostly to the Lakota peoples who have cared for the world and understanding this idea of consubstantiation. That means all living things are connected. We're connected to each other and the earth and the sky, and all of us on this planet belong to each other. And we call on the spirit of our ancestors and our elders. We call on our elders because those are the shoulders we all stand on. And recognizing where we have come in as a dream realized for our elders. Then we honor our elders because they have had that distance. And we move on to honoring our ancestors. And we honor our ancestors because they're closest to the Creator. So through that circle of healing and loving and honoring, we give each other space to have voice. And as an orderly people, we African in the diaspora, we use a talking stick. And we use a virtual talking stick here, and it's passed from one person to the next. And if you need the stick, the rule is you can ask for the stick, and you get the stick and share voice, share power, share wisdom, and pass it on to the next person. So today, as we enjoy being in the company of one another, we honor our elders, and we thank you, Baba Al, and we honor our ancestors. And with that, I'll pass the stick right back to you. Here's the talking stick.
Thank you, Dr. B. Let me pass it straight over to our colleague, the inimitable and magnificent, marvelous Dr. Oliver Williams. Dr. Williams, I so enjoy listening to you, being in your presence. I learn and I feel something every time you speak. And so I just want you to know that your comments, your presence, how you look at stuff, and how you sit in it is special and it's wonderful. So thank you for being here. Before I introduce our guest, Brother JP, wanted to have you come on and say a word. Unmute, I think. Let's try it again. One more time, unmute again. I see it looks muted now.
Here you go. Yeah, I just wanted to say I'm glad to be here, glad to see Bravada, and glad to see you, brother Al, and interested in what the guest has to talk about, and it's a blessing to be here with you.
Thank you. I'll take the talk and stick back then and introduce my guest. So Brother JP Jeffrey Powell. I told him before the program I got a nephew in Mississippi named Jeffrey Powell. So I should have called him and say, Jeffrey, you going to be on my show today? I didn't do it. But that means I feel connected to Brother JP already because it's almost like a family thing. Well, JP has an extensive history of experiencing homelessness and addiction. His story is one of redemption and hope. His strong faith in God helped to catapult him out of his dire situation and into a thriving condition where he is the founder and CEO of the Minnesota Hope Dealerz Recovery Community Organization, where he became a drug and alcohol counselor and where he remains an inspiration to those in recovery all over the world. So JP came straight from the mean streets on the west side of Chicago, and he's seen the worst of the worst, and he lives to tell the story. He recovered from the street life, which included experiencing drug addiction, violence, drug dealing, homelessness, and many other challenges, and he immersed himself into recovery and went back to school and became a drug and alcohol counselor. However, due to his record, which labeled him as a felon, he was unable to gain licensing in the field. So he worked alongside fellow recovery advocates and legislative officials to personally testify about his miraculous change. And ultimately, the state of Minnesota reversed the decision. This allowed him to complete his internship and graduate from Minneapolis College with an Associates of Science degree in addictions counseling. Despite the difficulties and the obstacles of going back to school and working towards maintaining his own personal long-term recovery, he graduated with honors as the Honors Society president. In 2020, he started his nonprofit, the Minnesota Hope Dealerz organization, which became the 9th recovery community organization in the state of Minnesota, the second one owned, by an African American. JP currently has maintained 4.5 years in his recovery. He's a leader, a recovery advocate, and well known within the recovery community from the work that he does. He's a member of the National Success and Leadership Society, Phi Theta Kappa alumni, the Association of Recovery in Higher Education, the National Association of Social Workers Board of Directors with Wellness in the Woods, the Minnesota Social Services Association, it's called NSSA. He's a servant leader and a part of the ministry of the ICCM Life Center, a number of other organizations with acronyms. I'm not going to read them. And he finally says, proudly, he is a child of God. He's passionate about making a difference in his community. He's dedicated his life to helping people feel less broken and has become a beacon of light to people that are living in darkness. He believes that if God could pull him out of it and change him, he can do it for anyone. He's working to become the change that he wants to see in the world. He's driven to show those that are in despair that they can make it and that there is hope. He is living proof of it. With that, I want to welcome you, Brother JP. Welcome to the Conversation with Al McFarlane, to the Healing Circle.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me.
Well,
Thank you, Doc and Doc.
let me jump right in. I'm going to pass the talking stick back to you. But the simple question is, who are you? What do you do? Where do you come from?
Again, I come from Chicago. I'm JP. I'm the founder and CEO of the Minnesota Hope Dealers. First and foremost, I'm a child of God. I'm a servant. For the most part, if beyond any titles, that's the title that I like to go by, a servant of God. I run the Minnesota Hope Dealers organization. We're a recovery community organization. I'm also a drug and alcohol counselor as well at Evergreen Recovery. So I just, I believe in, just trying to meet people where they at. And I'm from the streets.
Let's talk about that. I mean,
Okay.
take me back to JP as a 5-year-old. When you were 5, when you were 4, when you were 7, when you start becoming aware of the world, able to verbalize what you observed in your environments and your feelings, what did the world look like to you as an innocent?
We lived in poverty, man. I stayed in a studio apartment. I had a single parent home. We lived with my mom. She came here from Ohio. I guess to get away from my dad, whatever happened with that. But we ended up in a studio apartment on the south side of Chicago.
How many?
Just me.
You and your mom. Just you and your mom?
Yeah, just me and my mom.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's just me. Yeah, no rooms, no bedrooms, just one giant room type of thing.
Yeah. So then at 5 or 4, in this being in one room studio apartment, what was your feeling? Did you feel fun, joy? I mean, I'm sure you didn't really know the pressures your mom had. Maybe you did. But I'm presuming that as a 5-year-old, the world is rosy and potentials are potentials every day. Discovery is discovery. I don't know. Is that true?
At 5 years old, the whole world was, it was everything was brand new. I was at a young age, I was like sick. I had bronchitis and stuff, so I was like always sick, but I still was happy. I had friends. My mom used to hang out with me then, I guess. Because I was younger, and and it just added. Those are times I remember playing in the sand lot. Taking the leaves off the tree and acting like they dollars and playing kickball and stuff like that. So it's just, I don't think at that point in time we was aware of what poverty looked like. We just thought that when you're in it, you don't really see what it actually is up until you start making comparisons.
Mm-hmm. So when and how, walk us through how awareness unfolded in your life and what choices it led you to, or what situations it put you in.
It was when I started going to school. Well, of course I was, like in daycare or something like that, but we all, in my neighborhood, I guess we all was poor. So everybody looked at somewhat the same. But when I started going to school and started mixing in with like different people from different areas of town, and then getting talked about my shoes and just the stuff that I had on, and what I mean. That's when like the awareness piece started coming. Hey, you probably get hand-me-downs from your brother. Well, I was like, it was not from my brother, but it was from my cousin. But just, and that's like where the awareness piece kicked in at for me.
And when did your life start changing in ways that led you to the arena of horrors that you experienced growing up, that you're coming out of and talking about, testifying about today?
I like the way you put that. But it was when it's when my mom started working. She was working like a lot of hours. So I ended up being, I stayed upstairs with my auntie them and stuff like that up until I got of age. And when I got of age, I became like a key latch kid. Uh, so it's like, my mom was working. I was playing, I was trying to get involved in sports. I was kind of sheltered, the sheltered life. So everybody was able to go places I wasn't. So I kind of like learned how to take care of myself and stuff like that. So, it's just, um, but like I never really got the chance to go nowhere. If I did, I had to be when the street lights was on, and I was kind of sheltered, so to speak.
Mhm.
It was, I was like it was a seen and not to be heard type of thing, growing up. So like the stuff that I was doing, stuff that I wanted to get involved with, like sports and stuff like that. Like my mom was shutting it down, like shut it down. Oh, you can get hurt, or this can happen, or that. So it was just like, uh, it was just like me and her, except the in between when she's not there, I'm upstairs with my auntie and my cousins and stuff, and I see them involved in sports, and I see them involved and have a social life, and it's just like again the comparison. So it's like, they get to go out and do this type of stuff. It's like, why can't I?
So what did that lead you to? What happened?
Um, I don't know. It's just I spent a lot of time by myself. Other than with my cousins, but I spent even though I was with them, I always felt like alone. Like in my mind, I never felt like
Mhm.
I fit in. And it really felt like a square in a circle or something like that. So I really didn't fit in. Like I didn't fit in with my cousins because I'm not really a part of their immediate family. I felt like I didn't fit in with my family because my mom never there. When I started playing basketball and stuff like that, so I was like, "Mom, come to my games." Like, she never really came. So it's just like the stuff that I was doing that was positive, um, wasn't getting noticed. So it wasn't getting like recognized, or I wasn't receiving. I don't know. Like I guess it's the reward and punishment thing. I guess so. It's like, it's what I'm doing is not working. Like my grades was good. You know, hey mom, I got good grades. Oh, okay, yeah, you're supposed to.
Mhm. Mhm.
So it's just like is as I'm going forward, as we going forward, I'm remembering this. It's like I'd be happy about something, and it just get like the air got deflated from about
Mhm.
me, so to speak.
Mhm.
So it's a question of being valued and really being seen. I think that is
Yeah.
challenging. So, is there a particular event, a particular series of events that moved you to where you described as the worst of the worst? Tell that story. When you say that in your bio, what do you mean? What you talking about?
Just everything, pretty much everything that's negative. I was, think it might be safe to say that I was on the streets, man, in Chicago for almost like 30 years. So I was out there. I started going out there when I was like 16, 15, like 15. I was already out there, but we was trying to do something different. So we was playing basketball, and we had an after school program that we used to go to. And we had a smoking stinks button, and we saying no to drugs. We want to be athletes. We want to be pro athletes, and we want to, do something with our lives. Like this is the idea behind it. Um, but it kind of diminished. Like, my mom's didn't come to my games. I'm seeing other parents and there for their kids, and they cheering them on, and I don't have a cheering section at all. And it's just and I saying that, this is, that was the reason, but I'm just giving you my
Mhm.
perspective on it.
Mhm.
And just in that type of stuff, and we playing basketball, and and then they shut down the after school program. So somehow, I don't know if it got defunded or what have you. So um as we playing basketball, like, the drug dealers and gangbangers are hanging out at the basketball court.
Mhm.
So as we walk past them so much. Hey, what's up, man? You want to do this? No, no, no. They never pressured us into anything, but they was just around. They was there. We knew who they was and stuff, and we, just did our thing, played basketball, and like and left. you know, and then again, here it goes again. It's like we playing basketball and my shoes got a hole in it. Like, you know, I don't got these nice shoes on that these guys got on over here. And it's like, hey man, you know, can you go to the store and give me a, you know, something, and here you can keep the change. I'm like, wow, you know, it's just so you know, we experiencing all this at the same time as we trying to do something good, or you know,
Mhm.
try you know, have our own dreams and stuff like that. So like we doing our best to like stay out of trouble, but it's like, you know, everything was like right there and around us. And when they shut the after school program down, uh, we ended up being on the streets a little bit more than what we used to be.
Describe
Sounds
what
like
you mean by being on the streets.
I'm sorry.
Describe what you mean by being on the streets.
Just being outside. Being present on the outside. So, you know, the streets we grew up in the inner city urban neighborhood. So, you know, everything's around each other, people standing on blocks, you know, people standing on blocks, people riding past in cars, people hanging out on their front porches. You know, you got the little girls out there playing double dutch, you know what I'm saying? You got some guys shooting dice, you got some guys out there they drinking on the corner. You know, you got some guys out there selling weed and selling everything else on the corner. You know, just and you know, they pretty much was doing the same thing at the basketball court. Like every stop sign or red light had somebody out there. So this is what I mean by, you know, being on the streets. So like we actually out there in the midst of it, in the you know, in the middle of it. So we're not walking past or going, you know, we out there.
So, Brother JP, let me just jump in. This is Dr. B, and I wanted to say thank you so much for bringing back the memory of that 5-year-old boy as he grew into the man that we see in front of us now. But it was something on the streets that grabbed you, and you were vulnerable to the streets from what you're describing. You know, was nobody really holding you accountable or being there to cheerlead for you or watch you. And so when you look back now,
Mhm.
and you think about if you could talk to that little boy back then, what would you say to him today?
That's funny that I did this exercise already. With my own stint in treatment, you know, I had to apologize to my inner child type of thing. You know, and just saying that, you know, a lot of stuff wasn't your fault. You know, it wasn't the way we grew up, you know, the environment that we was in, because I blamed it on a lot of people. You know, at one point in time when I was younger, and it's, you know, to be 100% transparent, like I even blamed God,
Yeah, of
you know,
course.
about the environment that you know, that we was in. Like, hey God, if you love me, you know, you know, why am I being, you know, why am I here? You know, when there's other people in different other places that's living better and have more opportunities. Instead, I go outside my door and see people get shot. You know what I'm saying? And just everything. So, you know, I will let them know that, you know, which I have done. Like it wasn't your fault the way you grew up. Um, you know, your mom did the best that she could, you know, with what she had, you know, and it wasn't her fault, because I found myself blaming society, a lot of people, and you know what I'm saying, and granted, a lot of stuff possibly is to blame, but you know, it's you know, it's just I just didn't know, you know, so I tell them like, hey, you just didn't know, you know, it's and this is something I had to do myself in order for me to move throughout my life. Like I just had to forgive myself. You know, I forgive you for not knowing. I forgive you for not knowing what to do when all this peer pressure and a lot of stuff is this negativity is around you. Like, you know, you didn't know what to do, you know, at that point in time. So when I got involved and when I did know I was doing, it was kind of late. It was kind of late for it, because you know, I got deeply involved. So it gradually happens, you know, and I tell my younger self that, like, you know, you didn't deserve this. You know, you didn't deserve it, and you're right. Life wasn't fair for you, but you know, you got some power in you. You know, it's some. You know, it's always something about you. Uh, you know, and we strong.
Hmm.
That
I'm
is very
feeling,
powerful.
I'm feeling, brother. First of all, thank you again for what you do. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing. And I'm just going to react to what I'm feeling and hearing you talk. And I'm hearing part of your story is not casting a negative, what's the right word? You describing the community, but you're not blaming the community.
Mhm.
And so what you said was that nobody of all them cats on the corner was standing there with a gun at your head saying, I'm gonna make you a something or another, right? To
Right.
force you into a situation. But on the other hand, what you said was that cats, you and your colleagues, your boys was playing basketball, and then cats be standing around doing what they do, and somebody say, hey, young blood, go get me some pop at the store. Here's $5. Pop gonna cost $3. You keep
Right.
two.
Mhm.
You 12
Right.
years old. You say, yeah.
Right. And I
And
probably
so,
was thirsty too. Hey, get you something to drink. And I'm like, okay.
so the system in the neighborhood sets up that you start getting some choices to make. And some of those choices might put you in company and in direction and in situations that are going to be negative for you and others. But nobody is forcing you to do it.
Nobody forced. In all actuality, sir, they actually encouraged what we was trying to do. You know what I mean? At one point in time, they encouraged us.
That's when
Like
you
they
was
didn't.
trying to do not smoking
We
and
was
not,
trying.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, they're like, hey man, don't be out here, man. Don't be out here with us. Don't, you know what I'm saying? Go ahead and y'all get y'all, go make it out the hood and do what you do and stuff like that. Like, so technically we kind of got encouraged. Nobody ever putting out like, hey man, you need to do this, or hey, you should do this. No, it was never that. Hey, they pretty much was like, don't be like us.
Yeah.
Don't be like us. You guys are better than us and stuff like this. There's a lot of people don't understand about the hood. Like, people feel like, that other people forced them into something. The only reason why we started getting involved with them is because we realized that we was broke and we wanted to, we realized that playing basketball going to take a little longer than what we're trying to do. And we want to, they've been so cool with us. Like, hey man, we want to be a part of y'all. Since y'all encouraging us, and they like, no, man, no. And till you got to a point to where it's just like, oh, okay, well, you keep asking me, yeah, and yeah.
Does that create sort of an alternative feeling of family? Do you end up creating relationships that seem real, seem true in a way that's different, even ones that you couldn't really experience with your mom or your cousins or your auntie and them?
That's exactly what that was. You know what I mean? That's exactly, because that's the reason why, like, I started leaving. I pretty much, as we like to call it, left off the porch to seek that out, to seek that, to seek that family, to seek, because everybody, hey, what's up? How you doing, man? Everybody's pretty cool. And come hang with us, come kick it with us or whatever. Our basketball people, because what happened was that, it was like one person who we used to play basketball with went over, and started doing some stuff, and we seen him and his clothes and his shoes, and what I'm saying, and I think about it, it's like, oh man, that was nice, man. How you get that? And he told us. So we wanted to have that, and it's just because we was like we was the have-nots. So it was like more in tune to like having it was the family. It was the family too, the family aspect, but it was more of the having to be able to have something. You know what I'm saying? And then that's when the family like aspect. But I think the family aspect came in first, because they kind of people out there protected us, and what I'm saying, and stuff like that or whatever. I don't know in the sense of the word, I guess you can say. But it's just it's like a whole it's a lot of dynamics that goes along with the street life type of thing.
So I had a grandson here who, when he was up at North High School, he's a nice kid, a scholar, just a good guy, and lovable guy. But at one time he got jumped on by some cats, probably behind some girls. I'm not sure. In my view as an adult, I thought he was a corny kid, just a nice corny kid, right? Loved baseball, played some sports, loved music, and da 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 da. Was a jokester kind of, but a nice guy. but he got jumped on behind something. I don't know what it was. And then some other cats came and said, "Hey, man, them cats ain't gonna do you like that." And just that alone opened the window, right, for him to have some people that he might not have gone to ask for help. They were there and they offered help at the moment. And that, in my view, in retrospect, was kind of the door opening to a community or a family of friends, right? And that tested each other by saying, if something happened to you, I'm gonna be with you, right? So that's that protection you was talking about, I think.
Yeah.
So anyway, I don't know if that rings familiar with you or not,
Yeah, it rings with me.
Yeah. And so the question is, at what point, and you said this a little bit, did you discover that where I have gotten is not really where I wanted to go or where I should go? And at what point did you start what you might describe as your journey to recovery? What was the low point? What was the turning point that made things turn around for you, begin to turn around?
Man, I like I said, I've been I moved from Chicago in 2012 to try to expand my horizons type of thing, just because I got tired of the street life in Chicago. I was pretty much doing the same thing I was doing since I was 16, man, and I wasn't going nowhere. Um, selling drugs, going to jail, being arrested, all that different type of stuff. So as I got older, I decided I wanted to do something different with my life. Um, and I needed to probably move away from here, move away from Chicago to try to, make that happen. Um, so I moved to Minnesota in 2012. Um, and I tried to get a job. It didn't work out. I tried to get a job, a lot of no's, couple months. I didn't deal with my mental health. You know what I mean? I came to Minnesota and realized I had some mental health issues that I needed to address. I didn't know that in the midst of the chaos. So, in the midst of the chaos, you don't really know that you have any mental health issues except you drinking almost every day. Well, not almost every day. I drunk every day pretty much like for 25 years.
Mm.
And this was before I even got involved with like drugs. So I was selling drugs. I was selling drugs and like drinking every day. So I wanted to change the lifestyle. So I just wanted to, I just always felt like it was something better out there for me. Especially all the stuff I done seen. And plus I'm getting old. I'm in my 30s and so I moved out. I moved out here and I got a job and lost it. And I just felt I just felt distraught, man. I just felt like a failure. I felt like a loser. My self-esteem was already, again, that's what I said. I didn't address my mental health, and my self-esteem was already low. So all it took was just a spark. I was going to say a match, a spark to just ignite this downturn or depression. Um, so I just got depressed, and then, I just in my mind at that point in time, I just felt like selling drugs was what I was destined to do. I just felt like I just couldn't make it. Everything I did, uh, was wrong or messed it up or anything. So it just, I just felt like this was going to be my life. And that's when I turned to start using drugs. Be feeling that the low self-esteem, man, the low self-worth, like, I'm in another state and I can't even, get things right. Like this is what's going on in my mind. I can't even get it right. I can't even, I tried and I did and I failed. And, I didn't forgive myself. I just felt like I was just destined just to sell drugs and just be a nobody or whatever the case may be.
The thing that I hear from your story, and I used to be a drug and alcohol counselor back in the day, and among the things that I keep thinking of Maya Angelou's comment. She says, you do things because you didn't know better, but when you learn better, you do better.
Right.
But the key thing is what motivates you to move from being in a place, because I've seen people in a place where they feel so bad about what they've done, they can't forgive themselves. And they don't think that they deserve to be forgiven, to forgive themselves, to be able to move forward. But it's the ones that do and then find the path, and then start moving on the path that I get impressed with, to be able to see how they move forward with things in their lives. And so I commend you for being able to do that. And the question is, so what motivated you to be able to not only be able to see yourself in a different life and to forgive yourself, but to take the step to move forward in a different direction?
God is the best way I can explain it. I've been a mess up all my life. All my decisions was wrong. So when I decided to try God after I done tried everything else, that's what seemed like it worked. I felt like God forgave me, even when I didn't forgive myself. You know what I'm saying? I still don't I still don't think I have a reason to be forgiven. You know what I mean? But God forgave. God forgive. Um, and that's the and how I found this out was like I was in a trap house one day, selling drugs. I kind of tell the story a lot. Um, and I've been high for 5 days. At this point in time, I was experiencing homelessness and stuff like that. Um, and I was waiting on two people. I was waiting on people over here to finish their drugs. Waiting on these people over here to finish their drugs so they can buy them from me. And then at that instant, man, I just had like an epiphany. It's like almost an out of body experience, and it was like, like I looked around, like, what am I doing here? You know what I'm saying? I didn't even know what I was doing there. I knew I was there. I knew what I was there for, but I didn't. And it's like my life flashed before my eyes, man, in that little instant. Um, and I just realized, like, what am I doing? What am I doing here? Pretty much saying, what am I doing with my life? If this
Mhm.
is not, what I mean? What am I doing with my life? Like, what am I doing? And that was the moment where I decided to, and that's pretty much like what I like to call it is God calling me.
Mhm.
You know, the God called a lot of people, but like a lot of people don't answer the call. Um, and that's when I felt that God called me because I've been doing this for a long time. In that moment, at that point in time, after me being high for all that amount and what I was doing, and for that to happen, uh, was a supernatural thing. And that's when I like pretty much like got up, man. And I went to I checked myself into a shelter. I wasn't trying to check myself into a shelter because I was selling drugs and using them, so I didn't want to be in no shelter. So I went and checked myself into a shelter and uh, called my probation officer and just like told him I was using and I needed some help.
Hmm.
So I didn't care about the consequences either. This I know it was God too,
Mm.
because it's a chance that he was already last week telling me he's gonna take me to jail, take me back to jail. So because I was sleeping in front of on his desk. But I didn't care about the consequences because I felt like if I wanted to do this, then I can do it in jail or whatever the case may be. I was willing to accept uh, the consequence behind it, and it didn't happen like they said. I'm glad you told me. Let's get some help. So that's when I checked into treatment a couple weeks later after that. But I stayed in the shelter up until that happened.
You
Yeah,
know,
man.
your story is actually one about courage. And one of the things I learned about courage is that people who are courageous, they do things even though they are afraid. They do things even though they can't be sure that what they haven't. They just put one foot above the other and they brace their heart and they take that risk on themselves. And it sounds like to me that phenomenal spiritual reckoning of you hearing God, not just him telling you. I love what you said. A lot of folks get called, they don't answer. Of you being open to hearing God, left us with someone who has been there, knows what it's like, and sees a way on the other side. Now, see, right now, I'm just keep looking at your hope dealer. I said, now, wait a minute. What is this hope dealer? And so now when I'm hearing you, I can understand where it comes from, but I sure want you to say now how you move from that to, okay, I'm going to deal something, but it's going to be hope. So tell us about that,
Right.
brother.
It was a lot. It was a lot in between. It was a lot in between that. It was a lot of it was a lot of training. It was a lot of learning and unlearning. Just like a whole total factory reset. And just a whole download of new material, man. A lot of stuff I learned on the street. A lot of people taught me, was wrong. You know what I mean? So it's just like, God took me through this training and stuff, and just to work on myself. And I went to treatment, uh, read like behavior modification books and different stuff like that, and just started going to different type of things. Like it was a process. Because I was in the game, or what I'm saying, the streets for so long. Like it took me a couple of times in order for me like to actually get it right. And that brings you back to what you were saying, Doc, about being courageous. Like I didn't know what uh being sober was actually like. The only time I think I've probably been sober was when I was locked up or in jail or something like that. Um, so I've been to prison like three separate times. Um, but it was, just as far as like being outside and being like sober on my own, like I never knew what that looked like. I was always taught that it'd be lame, and it'd be this, and it all from where I'm from, it almost looked impossible.
Mm-hmm.
Out of hundreds of thousands of people that I knew, it was like only one or two people was actually sober, and that's probably because they had to, um, like health wise, So it was, it's like I just didn't know. I didn't know what that looked like for me in my life. And I'm glad that God instilled something in me to where I just didn't get so depressed like I did before when I messed up. I used to have depression that's so bad, like laying in bed like for months type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because of just and me not being able to forgive myself. But again, God stepped in and just like, it just gave me that notion like to keep trying, keep trying. I kept, slipping up here, relapse here, and, going back out into the streets and doing this here and doing that here, but like I never gave up. Um, I never gave up. And then as I started, getting into the word and started getting into the church, I, kept hearing like a righteous man falls 7 times, you know what I'm saying? So it was like, a lot of this stuff I didn't know in during the time periods of what I was going through, but I was just like determined for a better life. And I think that's what, God was trying to talk to me about. Well, I thought it was for a better life, but I think it happened to be for his purpose. You know what I mean? So which of course includes a better life. So it's, what I'm saying, it's like God instilled in me uh how to look back into myself. A lot of people live externally and caring about what other people think, and let other people or other stuff drive them versus being inside of ourselves, like being attuned to how we feel, which is one thing I'm still working on. But just in tune with ourselves or in our bodies of how we respond or how we act, or even about us. Being about us. Like as soon as somebody be like, "Ah, you trying to be sober? Oh, you crazy? I'm not. Give me that." It's just like we reacting to respond to exterior forces, or some stuff exterior, not within inside us. And then it got to the point was like, "Oh man, you stopped drinking?" At first we'd be like, "No, no, I stopped drinking." Yeah, yep, I sure did. And just like and for me to be able to live in myself and in my body and like be okay with who I am and find out who I am and fall in love with myself and You know, it's a love affair all over again. It's just, you know, being okay with my flaws, my imperfections, and being okay with that, because a lot of people are not okay with that. That's why we let a lot of outside influences um, infiltrate us. So it's, you know, it's once I learn to be okay with who I am and that I'm human and that I make mistakes and, you know, I'm not perfect. Radical acceptance. I was talking to my fiance about radical acceptance. Once I was able to radically accept a lot of stuff that was about me, you know, a lot of stuff about me, radically say, hey, I'm human. I make mistakes. I'm not perfect. I am going to fail. You know, once I was able, it seemed like once I was able to accept that, and also to accept the ability to be vulnerable, is when I actually found strength. You know, to keep going.
Love that.
Well, you
That's
got a lot of wisdom, brother. I keep thinking about the phrase, a wise man falls 7 times, but he gets up 8.
that's right.
Hmm.
And the thing that I think that how people will be drawn to you is your authenticity.
Mhm.
You know, that's was it uh, Saint Augustine? One of the things that I love about hearing this story is he kept telling everybody how he fell down.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mm.
it's because that's just that was the story of my life. But these them last falls, the you know, is those last falls, I learned something behind those.
Yeah,
Mm.
You know, I wanted to be a better person, like, so bad.
yeah,
Like, every time I fail, you know, I was like, okay, well, I know not to do that no more. You know, it's just like, okay, okay, I don't, you know, because me, I had this hustler mind state. I still kind of got it a little bit, but I still had this hustle. I had this hustler mind state. You know, to look over things or to do things differently in another different way, to where it's actually still doing the same thing, but it looks totally different.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So it's like, you know, it's just and from what I found out, that uh my skills is transferable.
Mhm.
Um
Hmm.
these skills is transferable, and it turned out that it was called creativity. Um
Hmm.
you know,
yeah.
but I was just implementing it in the wrong way, in a negative light. So I can't do drugs, so I might as well just bootleg some alcohol, or
Mhm.
bootleg some liquor, and, you know what I mean, and sell some liquor and stuff. But it still led me back to the same place.
Right,
You know, a lot of different stuff I was trying to do, and, you know, just walk that gray line, as they call it in the recovery world,
right,
is to, you know, be in recovery and not do drugs, but still sell them and still be around them. It's like it was impossible
right.
Mhm.
for me to do that. So when I realized that I can't walk that gray line, and it actually wasn't a gray line,
Mhm.
you know, is when I actually dove in head first. Because I would have to make a decision. I had to make a choice. If I'm a seek out what I've been seeking out, or am I still going to, you know, be a part of the street life and still be out there?
So the
Um,
thing I loved about hearing the story about Saint Augustine is that when he would, I think people were drawn to him because he talked about his imperfections,
Mhm.
and
mhm,
people could connect with him because they saw themselves in him, and so there was this sense of vulnerability with himself, but vulnerability is also authenticity. And because he was able to make himself, I think, vulnerable, people could see themselves, but then see that if he could do it, they could do
Yeah.
it. And that's a similar thing I see with a lot of people. There's a brother I noticed in Baltimore, and his father left. He grew up with, a little boy growing up and kind of trying to make it, on his own, and he ended up getting into heroin, and then also lost a son of his to you know, because he was a young guy himself, and they gave him a choice either to go to rehab or to go to jail. He chose going to rehab. His brother's got a PhD now. He's known by every president since Bill Clinton, and he's doing the stuff around fatherhood that's been incredible, and he's way beyond how he was identified himself. Or there's a brother, I think we had Dominique on the show. Dominique Walltower is a brother that had been an abusive man and ended up coming to grips with himself. And when he ended up doing that, he ended up being a light for other people who had the same challenges. And the critical thing to me is the fact that, you know, one of the things that I noticed for people that don't recover is that they don't, so you accepted responsibility and talked about how you had to change and how you had to be. And then you felt like maybe you didn't deserve it, but you ended up doing it anyway. That's the thing that I noticed that's different, is that when people take that on themselves and then they take responsibility for that and then they make the change. And then, so go ahead, provide it.
No, I was just saying amen, because what I'm hearing in your story, Brother JP, is that the line you said is those skills were transferable.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that in this healing circle, we still are dealing with the aftermaths of COVID. Some of us have long COVID, you know, we thought it was over, it's still lingering. And a lot of us saw lots of people die that we loved.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to understand, how does a dealer of hope go through a circumstance like we did with that pandemic, and you stand in here still shining and bright and powerful and inspirational? Just tell me about that. I don't want to let you go without hearing that.
No. Actually, that's what I think. That's where my organization sort of gained its notoriety. Is through the COVID. When that happened, so we teamed up with another recovery community organization and like did the Baskets of Hope. So we did a donation drive because a lot of sober houses wouldn't let people out because of the fear of somebody coming back with COVID or something like that. So they wasn't allowed to go out and get food, or they wasn't allowed to get toiletries and different items and stuff like that. So we put together like a donation drive and stuff like that. And in my eyes, I feel like I've been through worse. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, but in my eyes, I feel like I've been through a lot worse than COVID. You know what I mean? And it's just and my
COVID was deadly. And COVID was deadly.
Yeah.
And you saying you've been through
COVID
worse.
was deadly.
Yeah.
I think I might have been through worse. You know what I'm saying? It's just this is my perspective. But so what we did was we went to we gathered up these donations. A lot of people donated too. So we went to pretty much every sober house like in the Twin Cities and dropped off like toiletries and essential items and stuff like that. Dropped off to these sober houses and stuff like that. So we a lot of people started getting to know what my organization do and stuff like that through that. Because a lot of people were scared, they didn't want to come outside, and so it's just understandable, so there's a lot of stuff going on. But I'm living in my purpose now. So we was able to pretty much I think it might be safe to say almost all the sober houses in the Twin Cities due to the donations of people that that they had. So like dish detergent, gloves, socks, female toiletries, and just all different type of stuff we was able to drop off to people. So that's pretty much like what we did around COVID. So we was able to make that happen, which is
it wasn't just the things though. It was the dealing of the hope that came with it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get into that.
Yeah.
Let me shut up and
and also we we started online. I started a Facebook group, the Minnesota Hope Dealers. So a lot of people in NA and AA, or who go to meetings and who go to church, wasn't able to go to these things because because of COVID. So everything was closed. So
Right.
we started pretty much like an online Facebook internet group, so people can come and get encouraged and still sort of had the benefits of like going to a meeting and being connected with the recovery community, through like Facebook. So that's how we got the notoriety, because everybody was able to come to different Facebook groups and get encouragement and stuff like that, because a lot of people was going back out there using. The only thing was open during COVID was Walmart and the dope man
Yeah.
and the liquor stores. That was the only thing that was open. So we was able to make a sort of like a Facebook group and like a family called the Minnesota Hope Deal. So now it's like 4,000 people in our Facebook group that's connected across the United States, so to speak. It's in Minnesota, but we got a couple of people in there from all over.
Yeah.
So it was that was cool. This is again like the transferable skills thing. And just give somebody encouraged, let them know they loved, and we like to do stuff in person. We have meetings, and but we weren't able to have that during COVID. So at least somebody had a place to stay or place to go if they wanted to process anything, or just express themselves, or just even be connected with people in recovery.
In the last couple of minutes here, brother, I wanted to give you the chance to sort of do a commercial for Hope Dealers. So say briefly what y'all doing now, and in the process, how do you sustain your funding for the work that you do? And if you want to invite people to support by grants or donations or in kind, this is the time to do it, because we want you to be continue on your path of success and your path of being a servant leader. I'll say one last thing, and I'm going to turn it back over to you. And I'm picking this from the vibration from Dr. Oliver. I'm going to call you Saint JP. I'm picking up St. Augustine.
Right.
And if that was the case then, you are the case now. That's what I'm saying. Brother, go ahead.
I appreciate that. So I'm just a servant, but it's what I'm doing now. So I have I have a recovery basketball league that we're doing. So it's a recovery basketball league that I put together to help people. Like I said before, I like playing basketball. So to help people get off the streets and a place where somebody can go, a sober event. So is pretty much based around, kids can come, as long, of course not newborns unless somebody's gonna be there with them. But we do this every Saturday at Colin Powell Center. We partnered up with Urban Ventures with this. So it's just an open gym for now for the first 3 months, and then after that, we're going to start building teams. So it's 300 to sponsor a team, or if anybody want to sponsor, we're looking for corporate sponsors as well, to help us out. It's growing, it's getting bigger, and we have like a meeting before for the guys, and just talk about whatever they're going through and stuff like that, and keep them encouraged and stuff. We already had a donation from Six Dimensions. They donated gym shoes to the guys. We had a donation of like Timberwolves tickets from Minnesota Young Adults in Recovery. So the guys are benefiting from this. So it's pretty cool. So I'm out there playing ball with them too, and trying to get in shape. So we start So the basketball league actually starts in May. So right now we have an open gym. It's free. Anybody can come out. And if anybody want to be corporate sponsors or want to help sponsor this, is within the Phillips community, they can contact me, JP, at minnesotahopedealers.org, or they can get the website, go through the website, www.minnesotahopedealers.org. Yes.
We're out of time. But I want to thank you. Dr. B, final word.
All I can say is thank you. Thank you for bringing your whole self to this process. I feel like the universe once again gave us a divine appointment, and you're right here at the right time, saying the right thing for the right reasons. Deal it on, brother. Deal that hope. That's all I got to say.
Well, that's the mic drop. Thank you all. We'll see you next time. We'll bring you back again, brother. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you
All right.
guys for having me.
Thank you. Bye-bye.